All right, folks, this is shockingly stupid even for Donald Trump. During a disastrous interview with Newsmax last night, Trump indicated on live TV that he may pardon or commute the sentences of convicted sex trafficker and Epstein accomplice Ghislaine Maxwell, Sean P. Diddy Combs, and disgraced former Republican Congressman George Santos. Moves that would all inflame the MAGA base should Trump follow through. But before we unpack all that, if you end up liking this video and you want to support the channel, please be sure to hit the like, subscribe, and alert bells before you go. All right, friends, we have several clips to play of this interview on Newsmax. I mean, we're probably going to do multiple videos about it, but I want to stick with the pardons and commutations first because Trump was asked these back to back to back, and I'm stunned by the answers he gave.
Again, Ghislaine Maxwell serving 20 years in prison for sex trafficking. Is clemency on the table for her in exchange for testimony?
I'm allowed to do it, but nobody's asked me to do it. I know nothing about it. I don't know anything about the case, but I know I have the right to do it. I have the right to give pardons. I've given pardons to people before, but nobody's even asked me to do it.
So again, this is not the first time that Trump has indicated that he may pardon Maxwell or commute her sentence. And again, the more he says this, the more I'm convinced that he's going to do it. He used similar phrasing and language to talk about pardoning Paul Manafort and Roger Stone in his first term, and he ultimately pardoned Paul Manafort and Roger Stone at the end of his first term. Nobody's talking about it. Nobody's asked me to do it, but I have the power to do it. So it really seems like he's gonna. Okay, so there's the precedent. Number two, Maxwell was a friend of his. Number three, he wished her well when she was arrested during his first term. Number four, she was the former girlfriend and partner, and yes, accomplice, of Trump's other friend, deceased sex trafficker Jeffrey Epstein. Number five, given the backlash surrounding the Epstein scandal, Maxwell may be in a position to distract from that or to relieve him somewhat of that by pointing the finger at President Bill Clinton or other high-ranking Democrats or liberals to try to get the attention off Trump. Number six, the Supreme Court case Trump v. United States effectively made it so that you can't prosecute a president for corruptly abusing the power of the pardon because it's a core presidential power. You can't touch it. So why wouldn't Trump, given his corrupt incentives, his corrupt motives, his precedent, his history of corrupt pardons, just follow through with this, especially if she could give favorable testimony to him for political expediency? It really seems like he's lining up to pardon or commute her sentence. But it didn't just stop with her. Then he was asked about the Epstein Files and P. Diddy and George Santos. So here's some other clips.
Your Deputy Attorney General sat down with Ghislaine Maxwell for 9 hours. I'm just wondering when the American people get to hear what she said during that interview.
Well, I don't know because I haven't spoken about it, but he's a very talented guy, Todd Blanch, and a very straight shooter.
Yeah.
And I think he probably wanted to know, just to get a feeling of it, because we'd like to release everything, but we don't want people to get hurt that shouldn't be hurt.
Yeah.
And I would assume that was why he was there. I want to release everything. I just don't want people to get hurt.
So Trump has the power, of course, as the ultimate classification authority. He has the power to snap his fingers and declassify the quote-unquote Epstein files or to order DOJ to do it. We now know that his name was not only in the Epstein files, that was broken by the Wall Street Journal, but that the FBI, Trump's FBI, redacted Trump's name in the Epstein files. And of course, redactions are made pretty regularly to protect victims and others as well. So that was all addressed actually kind of in advance. Pam Bondi and Kash Patel were like, hey, listen, we'll protect victims and others, but otherwise your right to privacy is trumped, pun intended, by the public's interest in the Epstein Files debacle. And of course, now they've done a 180 on it. They've walked it back, indicating that there are some really gross and unsavory things about Trump in the Epstein Files, if not criminal. I will also note that Todd Blanch, the Deputy Attorney General who met with Ghislaine Maxwell twice before having her transferred to a cushier minimum security prison in Texas, used to be Donald Trump's personal attorney. So it really seems like, again, corrupt motives and conflicts of interest are abundant in this situation. Here's another clip.
That shouldn't be hurt.
Yeah.
And I would assume that was why he was there. I want to release everything. I just don't want people to get hurt. You can't have people associated. First of all, the files were run by some very bad people and very sick people like Comey and Lisa, the whole group, all those people in that office. They ran those files for 4 years. And if they were going to use the files, they would have used it before my election. because unless they're stupid, which to a certain extent they are stupid.
You're saying they would have released the information.
Well, they had the files. They
election.
control the files.
Yes.
I didn't control the files. They control the files for 4 years. So if they had something, they would have released it before the election, because they are not geniuses, but they're evil.
Right.
There are a lot of evil people.
So again, this whole notion doesn't make much sense at all. If there's nothing about you in the files, then release the files. It's just that simple, right? He's saying, hey, listen, you don't have to worry about me, because if there was something about me, Merrick Garland would have released the files. Well, even granting that at face value, which we're not obligated to do, then that means there's nothing about you in the files, which means you have no personal interest in keeping the files protected, which means you should probably just go through and honor your campaign pledge to release the files, unless, of course, there's something about you in the files. And then, is it real or is it fake? And if it's fake, why can't you address it? So again, none of it makes any sense whatsoever, which is why this scandal isn't going away for Trump, because he's said nothing which satisfies people's concerns and curiosity about it. But I digress. Here's another clip.
Sean Diddy Combs.
Right.
Would you consider pardoning him?
Well, he was essentially, I guess, sort of half innocent.
Yes.
I don't know what they do. He's still in jail or something, but he was celebrating a victory, but he seems, I guess it wasn't as good as a victory. Probably, I was very friendly with him. I got along with him great, and seemed like a nice guy. I didn't know him well. But when I ran for office, he was very hostile.
He said some not so nice things about you, sir.
Yeah, and it's hard, like you, we're human beings.
Right.
And we don't like to have things cloud our judgment, right? But when you knew someone and you were fine, and then you run for office and he made some terrible statements. So I don't know, it's more difficult. It makes it more, I'm being honest, it makes it more difficult to do.
But more likely a no for Combs,
I would say so.
Okay.
Yeah.
And what about George?
So again, leaving the door open to pardoning Diddy, and his only reservations about not pardoning Diddy come from the fact that during the 2020 election, Diddy backed President Biden over Trump. I got along with him. He's friendly. He seems innocent. But he said bad things about me. So I don't know. It's kind of difficult. It kind of clouds my judgment. And again, I don't think you should pardon Diddy. I'm actually with Megyn Kelly on this. We did a video about this. Megyn Kelly was begging Trump, please don't pardon Diddy. It's only going to make things worse for you politically. But that's actually kind of the point. They're all concerned about Trump. He's a Trump hater. And that's Trump's concern too. Oh, he's a Trump hater. Not what he was credibly accused of doing. Not what a lot of the evidence showed during the Diddy trial. Not the fact that he was convicted regarding prostitution. None of these things are relevant to Trump and the MAGA base. It's about what they say about Trump. And again, for that to be his only reservation, kind of an indictment, yet another indictment of Trump's character on this, right? Shocking. Shocking that he would just admit that. Like, yeah, I'm so thin-skinned. I would pardon the guy. I like the guy. But he said mean things about me, so I just don't know. I might need to let him rot in jail. Wait, well, if that's your view, if you think he's innocent, if you didn't think he did anything wrong, what, you would just let him rot for months or years in jail potentially because he said mean things? I mean, it's just so stupid. Just come out and say the truth, which is he did some pretty terrible things. And they convicted him dead to rights. And so, no, he should serve a sentence. But Trump can't do that because that's not how Trump thinks. That's not his prism of analysis with respect to justice. And if you have any further doubts about that, look to this answer about George Santos.
Okay. And what about George Santos?
Boy.
He just went away, 7 years.
He was, he lied like hell. I mean, I have to tell you.
Yeah.
And I didn't know him, but he was 100% for Trump. But I didn't, I might have met him, maybe not, I don't know. But he was a congressman and his vote was solid. It sounds like a lot. He got in. You could blame the other side for not checking him out.
Yeah.
He didn't do all those things that he said.
Local news missed it. Everybody missed it.
Well, you could say the media missed it. Everybody missed it. They found out about this stuff after the election was won. So nobody's talked to me about it. So they really, they haven't talked to me about the two. They have talked to me about Sean, but they haven't talked to me about the two. But again, with him, I have the right to do it. Nobody's asked me, but it's interesting. Is it 7 years?
7 years. He just went away.
That's a long time.
Your deputy.
So George Santos, who was busted on multiple corruption charges and conspiracy to fraud charges, just the whole gamut. He was expelled from Congress. Do you realize how bad you have to be expelled from Congress by this Republican Party, so desperate to cling to a majority? It's how bad George Santos is. And Trump is considering pardoning him because he was 100% pro-Trump. Again, folks, I think all of these moves would piss off the MAGA base by and large, because I don't think George Santos is much of a darling of the MAGA base the more they learned about his crimes. But obviously Epstein, Maxwell, and Diddy are certainly not darlings of the MAGA base. And so I think it's shocking that he's admitting in this Newsmax interview that he's open to pardoning all of them. And his biggest reservation is about Diddy, and only with respect to the fact that Diddy criticized him 5 years ago during an election. Stunning. There you have it. We'll probably play other clips from this as well, because Trump made a lot of really weird comments during this disastrous Newsmax interview. But in the meantime, let me know what you think in the comments.